Dover Road, Folkestone history, 1970s to present day. Not much is written down in the history books as yet. I personally didn't move in till much later, so I leave it to others present here who can tell you more than I or books can about what happened in this period. All I can say is the basic facts I know, namely that the late 1970s saw a relatively decline with an oil crisis and high unemployment. Folkestone Harbour being relatively small, cargo was lost to places like Felixstowe, and as lorries carried more freight, larger road access and larger ships meant near neighbours Dover, with its large natural harbour, took both lorries and cars away from Folkestone. Regarding tourism, the rise of cheaper airfares meant more people going abroad to Spain for guaranteed sun. This also meant that the tourist trade, apart from day trippers, took a knock. Folkestone did attract some light industry, and better roads and faster trains made long distance travelling to work a lot easier. As far as Dover Road's concerned, change is always a constant theme. Probably the biggest controversy hitting the road since the closure of the railway was the opening of Folkestone's first ever sex shop on May 19th, 1981. This was met by a tremendous outrage. Parents like Mrs. Matthews were worried about their girl Victoria, who might be followed home from St Mary's Primary School. Another resident, Mrs. Bankhurst, was worried about her child being followed home. A sex shop in the area she thought was disgusting. However, despite a petition signed by 140 locals, and including complaints from Mr. Lewis, the butcher's next door, the council were unable to prevent the sex shop from trading. Also, despite it being picketed by the Reverend Coles, Folkestone's parish priest, the shop thrived. No sex crimes of any sort were ever recorded. The shop traded ever since, but in 2019 it seems that internet shopping has signalled the end to a store which is currently up for sale. St Mary's Primary School itself only remained in Dover Road until 1982, when it removed, presumably to larger premises in Warren Road. The other big change about this time was in 1994. The Channel Tunnel was finally opened. This was probably the final nail in Folkestone's coffin as a port. And in 2002, the last hydrofoil stopped sailing. The final comments. I can't finish without saying some final remarks on my time in Dover Road since I moved in and opened Lacey's in 1999. Since then, I've seen that most of the shops in the road have closed down and converted into private flats. A lot of this was due to the opening of ever larger cheap supermarkets, which meant smaller shops cannot compete. All the pubs except for the social club have closed down. The area has become rubbish-strewn and desolate. I'm sure many hard-working residents, both now and in the past, would turn in their graves, or if they're not dead, will turn literally and in horror at what the road has become now. Mr. DeHaan is doing a lot to improve the harbour area and develop a creative quarter, but in the Dover Road it's a bit lost on many people who just want to have a job, a clean street and somewhere to enjoy themselves and feel safe from being mugged. Something which happened to my good friend Chris D, yards from her home in Queen Street, just off Dover Road last November. Anyway, that's enough of my rabbiting. If you got this far, well done you, and I hope you enjoy your visit to Dover Road Expo. It will be back. Watch this space. Goodbye.